Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. We will give it a couple of minutes as people are joining, and then we will get started. There were quite a few people registered for this webinar, and people should be joining shortly. So just give it a 30 seconds before we start. But welcome everybody on this rainy day in New Jersey, at least, and wherever you are joining from, you should hopefully have better weather than we do here. So let's get this started. Welcome everyone to the Fieldworker webinar. I am Rohit Mathur, co-founder of Fieldworker, and with me is Prabhat Vesh, my partner. We come from personal experience in caring for family with disabilities, and also many years of experience in technology, which led us to this confluence of founding Fieldworker with a mission to assist people working in care coordination, care management, and service delivery to the most vulnerable. I'm very, very happy to introduce today's guest, Monique Lewis Hawkins, the founder and executive director of Equal Opportunity Support Services. Monique began her career in New York City, where she developed programs to support individuals facing some of society's toughest challenges and barriers, those experiencing homelessness, in foster care, or transitioning from welfare to work. She has collaborated with schools, state agencies, faith-based organizations, and families to build initiatives that change lives. Monique's work has earned her honors from the New York City Council and the State Assembly, and she's also served on the Board of Trustees at Thomas Edison State University. Now based in New Jersey, Monique discovered a deep passion for supporting individuals with disabilities, providing oversight across residential, behavioral, and executive teams. And that passion has led her to launch Equal Opportunity Support Services, an agency dedicated to empowering people with special needs and to make them thrive in their daily lives. So welcome, Monique. We want to keep this session very informal and would love to hear questions from you. So the audience, please feel free to ask your questions by using the Q&A box, and we are happy to answer them. If you use the chat feature, please direct your question either to me or the entire panel so that they can be picked up and answered. In case we cannot get to your questions in time, we will get back to you with an answer and are also happy to set up separate time to talk to you. There are going to be a couple of polls that pop up during this webinar as well. So if you can answer those polls, that'll be fantastic as well. So let's get this started, keeping it informal. Please always feel free to ask questions if you have anything. So Monique, thank you for joining us on this webinar. We are very happy to have you here. If we can start off with, if you can tell us about your journey, what inspired you to start Equal Opportunity Support Services?
Okay, I think it's important to understand exactly how my journey with the IDD population got started. As previously mentioned, I've worked with almost every single population between individuals in foster care, different programs that eradicated generational welfare, job training. If any person needed some type of support or some type of help, and there's a program, it's most likely that I've worked in that program. Also, as previously mentioned, I'm from New York City. I did transplant into New Jersey in early 2000, and that was the time of the Christine Whitman administration. Around that time, the social service field was going through a huge overhaul where they were downsizing or eliminating a lot of different types of social service programs. So I found myself looking for employment. And I remember this is in the old days where we used to use the newspaper and look for jobs in the newspaper. So I saw an ad in the newspaper looking and offering a CPR training, a free CPR training. I signed up for it. And it turns out it was in a group home for individuals with intellectual developmental disabilities. Now, during that training, the training was held in a small room. And during that training, there was a young lady that kept trying to come into the training and engage with me. The staff that she was working with was kind of directing her, like, no, stay away, stay away. And then eventually I let the staff know, like, hey, no, it's okay. Let her come in, let her say hello. And what happened was when the young lady came up to me, she actually touched me on my hand. And I feel that that interaction really touched my heart. It helped me understand that the young lady just wanted to participate in what we were doing. She wanted to do what the non-IDD people were doing, and she just wanted to be involved, similar to everyone else. So that's what inspired me to develop our mission. And our mission is to give people an equal opportunity to live their best lives, and then also our vision, and our vision consists of a world with no less equality for everyone, whether they have a disability or not have a disability, and everyone's able to equally participate in their community. And then from there, that's how Equal Opportunity Support Services got started.
That's fantastic. What a laudable work that you are doing, Monique. That is fantastic. And for those unfamiliar, can you talk specifically about what Equal Opportunity Support Services does and who you serve?
Okay. We provide what's called support coordination, and support coordination is very similar to what is traditionally known as case management. We connect people to different services such as day programs, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and we also help families navigate the DDD program, as well as different issues with state agencies such as Medicaid, as well as housing. We provide different types of training for different providers to make sure they're in compliance. And we also respond to crises, like individuals that are facing homelessness or serious illness. We respond to those by providing them with assistance. And we really essentially help families navigate the very complicated family dynamic that's involved with supporting someone with an intellectual and developmental disability.
Yes, it's amazing the work you are doing. And since case management or support coordination, specifically in New Jersey, is at the heart of what you do, I think our audience would be very interested in learning that what in your mind uh, truly makes for truly effective support coordination. What is important? What is key?
Okay. The key to effective support coordination is teamwork, because there are times when the support coordinator is the last step on the bus. And what I mean by that is you have someone, as I mentioned earlier, that's maybe facing a homeless crisis. We're the ones that everyone is turning to and asking, what are you going to do? How are you going to solve this problem? So if you have a team, and a team that works together, a team that's very knowledgeable, very well trained, and can be effective, that's the key to good support coordination as well as effective support coordination.
That is such a great point, and teamwork at the heart of everything. And Monique, as part of your support coordination, trying to get the most effective services to the individual that you're servicing, I guess you work with a lot of service providers as well. So can you talk a little bit about how you work together with service providers and the family and the individual to make sure that the right holistic services are delivered to the individual?
Okay, absolutely. So the best way that we work with the different service providers as well as the families is just making sure that we have a strong database of connections, and also that we're continuing to foster the relationships that we have with different providers. When providers reach out to us, we're making sure that we're returning phone calls, we're making sure that when we process their paperwork for billing, everything is done accurately. And over time, or essentially that just leads to a a good system as well as good support.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. and your work is so good. One of the key parts that you mentioned also is the services that you deliver have to be of the highest quality. And also, since you work with Medicaid, you work with state. And the reason I mention this is because there are people who've joined this webinar who are from across the country, and so it's not necessarily New Jersey specific. You have to ensure compliance as well, right? You have to ensure that compliance is there for all the work that you do. How do you ensure that? How do you ensure both quality and compliance across your services, especially given the dynamic regulatory environment that we are in right now?
Okay. Well, one of the things, there are a lot of different components involved in compliance. There's compliance with making sure that you do the monthly contacts. There's compliance in making sure that the record is correct. And there's also compliance in regard to like billing and different types of services. So a big part of our compliance is using field worker, because we feel that that has been an effective tool for us to help and maintain compliance. So for example, field worker does have a program called a component of their program called a MMT, let's say component of their program. When we recently attended a state training for support coordinators, one of the issues that was brought up is that some support coordination agencies are actually submitting billing and for claims that have not received what's called a monthly monitoring tool. And that's the way that we essentially bill. So the way that we ensure compliance is using a program such as Field Worker. Field Worker will not allow for the claims and all the billing to go through. And Field Worker helps us also make sure that we're in compliance with everything that we need. So that eliminates or reduces the issues that we have related to billing and any claim submissions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that, Monique. And for the audience, again, please feel free to ask questions. We might take them at the end of the webinar, or we can answer them, or we can, Monique can address them as we go along. A poll has also popped up, which will be up for about 60 seconds on your screen. If you can answer the questions in the poll, we'll really appreciate it as well. It gives us data and information about what are the things that are important to you, and we can also talk about those in the webinar as well. Now, teamwork is something, Monique, you mentioned. You mentioned about how to work with service provider. But how do you foster a culture of empathy and professionalism, given the very vulnerable population that you work with? So how do you foster this culture of empathy, professionalism, but still get high performance from your team? This is very interesting, given the large number of people that you work with, and a fairly large team as well that you manage.
Right, absolutely. So empathy is at the core of what we do. Empathy is at the core of the services we provide. And the way that we ensure or we try to carry out being empathetic is putting ourselves in the shoes of the individuals that we're supporting. And I'll use an example. So more recently, we had a young man and he was looking for a program. And the program that he was looking for, or let me back this up. The young man participates in a non-traditional medical type treatment that some people, may not necessarily be in agreement with. So he was looking for a day program, and when he went to the day program turned him away because they were not in agreement with the medical procedure that he was involved in. So after the interaction between the family and the day program declined placement. Mom went home and she was absolutely defeated. She was defeated because she felt that she was doing the best that she could do. She resorted to this medical treatment as a last resort, and she didn't want to be judged for that. So us as a team, we understood like, hey, it's mom's choice. it's the son's right to participate in any type of treatment that they're interested in. And speaking to empathy and being empathetic, just understanding that it's not for us to pass judgment. It's not for us to um, kind of dictate to the families the course of their lives, if you want to say. So being empathetic, putting ourselves in the individual shoes usually helps out with just building understanding and creating a relationship.
Yes, yes, that is very, very important as well. And when you talk about quality, we referred that earlier. When you think about quality in support coordination or case management, what does that mean to you, and how do you measure it, Monique?
Okay. Quality means that the people that we support are happy, the people we support are healthy, and the people that we support are safe. We measure that in terms of low incident reports, meaning that when if there's an issue and something happens and it needs to be reported to the state, we maintain low incident reports and low issues. And we also measure that through our retention by having long-term people that we support for years at a time.
Yes, yes, that is very good. And I guess you are constantly talking to the families and to the individuals and checking on them on an ongoing basis as well for the fact that they are happy and they are satisfied with the services.
Absolutely.
And in that regards, what role and how important is that role of ongoing communication with families in maintaining your service quality? And how do you ensure that nothing is slipping through the cracks?
Okay. Um, as support coordinators, we're required to do a monthly check-in with the families. And when you do your monthly check-in, you're given kind of like a script to follow to make sure that you're hitting all of the key points that you need to address in terms of health and safety and plan development and so on and so forth. So what happens is sometimes when you're doing the same kind of process over and over, it has a tendency to become monotonous and people will skip over different steps. So what we do is we ensure that um, when we're doing our monthlies, we have a second person available to provide oversight to the calls. We also have a second person available to review the documentation to make sure uh, a support coordinator is not repeating the information from the next month, and just overall making sure we have a second eyes on the case and they can look at the case with fresh eyes and kind of make an assessment for any areas that may be failing or maybe need additional attention.
That's amazing. That's really good. And so redundancy is built into your process to have backups. And also, there are so many, especially with the vulnerable population that you deal with and in intellectual and developmental disabilities, there are so many areas where, an incident might happen or something unusual might happen. Uh, I think our audience would love to hear some story or example where your team went above and beyond to deliver exceptional care and what impact it had on the individual or family. We are all, everybody in the audience is from either service delivery or case management. And these anecdotes, these stories are so powerful and so important.
Absolutely. So we had a case with a young man, and he came to us on a Wednesday. And on Friday, he said, "Oh, guess what? The family said, is at our door, and we're getting ready to be evicted." So we went into hyper active mode. The process is typically to reach out to the state, you submit forms, and then the state comes in and they help you with trying to navigate, finding housing or resourcing in different types of emergency services. What we were able to do and we were most proud of is even though we know or knew that we had the state as a backup, all of our team was so well trained and all of our team was so resourceful that everyone not just the case manager that was assigned to the individual person, but everyone jumped in as a team and started calling the different places that they knew that may have vacancies. And everyone that had a specialty in a specific area kind of took on that task. And then at the end of the day, we all put together and we were able to find a young man a home, a safe home, a happy home, and he is thriving and he is doing very well.
That is amazing. And of course, it was late nights and weekends for you, but what an amazing results for the family and the individual. That is so good to hear. And there are so many other stories that you have about like this, which is which makes us so happy. Proud of our work, proud of your work, everybody in the audience, the type of work we do, the major impact that we have. And now, Monique, transitioning a little bit, now let's talk about technology, right? What led you to adopt field worker, and what problem were you trying to solve at that time?
Okay. So what led us to adopt field worker is we were having challenges with our billing process. What's involved just basically in the billing process is you receive a monthly document, you take the monthly document, and then you have to take the monthly document and manually enter the information from the document, which contains information into the state system. Okay. In addition to the information on the monthly document, you also need demographic information about the individuals that are being supported. So, in order for us to submit a claim, we would have to go to different types of places or different reports to gather all that information together. We'd enter it into a system just to get rejects because of human error, and we were having different problems. So we sought out field worker because we were looking for a more effective way to, for one, get paid, because at the end of the day, you need to generate that revenue in order to keep the services going. And for two, to free up our time to be able to serve the individuals that we support better. Now, why we specifically adopted field worker is because prior to connecting with field worker, we were doing our research on different programs that could provide that specific type of service. And what we found was when we were looking at different providers, that they just didn't have, I always tell field worker, y'all have the secret sauce, okay? They didn't have the secret sauce. Different providers were trying to make programs, adapt programs for us, and it seemed like it would be quite challenging in order to have a program that wasn't fit specifically for us. And it was kind of, to me, like trying to fit a circle into a square. So when we met with field worker, they literally had the answers to all the problems, and I couldn't explain it better than they provided all of the solutions that we needed. So referencing the process earlier where we had to go from 5 different like databases or resources to process a claim, with field worker, they simplified the entire process into 2 steps where there was a download and then an upload, and then we were pretty much done. So we were looking to reduce time and also be able to build more effectively.
That's so good to hear, Monique, and we are very happy and thank you for that. Uh, Now, on another note, right, your MMT that you have referred, just again for clarification for the audience, is essentially a complex case note document that is created every month, which the state of New Jersey demands, and Monique and her team, for every individual that they have under their care, they provide this document. It's essentially a case note, a very detailed case note about everything that has happened with the individual in that month. And so going from that, Monique, how do you think that staying on field worker, how has field worker changed the way you engage with families or manage follow-ups? Has that has that impacted that process at all?
Sure, 100%. So with the MMT program that I mentioned earlier on field worker, the process before used to involve us using a paper document, filling it out, and sometimes support coordinating supervisors are not required to check on the document. So a support coordinator would fill out the monthly MMT, they would upload it into iRecord, and it would just essentially be there. So what we noticed when we would occasionally go in and we would kind of audit our records is there were a ton of errors. Some errors including uploading the wrong file under the wrong individual, there were case notes that were entered that were not followed up on. There were things that needed to be addressed immediately that ended up in a case note and was not handled. What we loved about field worker is, for one, everything was contained in one area. So you have one support coordinator, their computer's not working, they don't have the Microsoft Word program because they didn't redo their subscription payment, so they couldn't do the MMT, and this one had an excuse, and this one had an excuse. And it was difficult because after they completed their document, they needed to email it to the supervisor. The supervisor didn't know, get the email. So what uncomplicated things with field worker was everything was in one specific area. All of the MMTs were there. The approval process was streamlined because we were able to go in and just review the MMTs. And we also like that we can reject monthly reports if it's not correct. You're able to view all of the follow-up information that's needed as well. So it was working with field worker, it 100% um, improved our process and saved time in regards to our monthly follow-ups. And that allowed us to spend more time with the family, speaking to them and addressing their needs.
That is such an important thing. And actually, that is the whole purpose, Monique, that you are able to spend more time with the families. And in that regards, just as a follow-up, would you say field worker has had an impact on your staff's morale or ability to focus on the families? I mean, we know that there is a care provider crisis, there's a shortage of care people. And so it is very important to make sure that the staff is happy and they have high morale, while especially when they're working with the people and the individuals that we do work with.
Yes, absolutely. We think that working with field worker improved the staff morale because it made their job easier. Instead of, again, researching for documents, trying to find out, oh, having computer issues, just being able to log into field worker, have everything in one area, definitely build the staff morale. They appreciate the process, and they also appreciate the fact that there's less work for them to do.
That's good to know. And just moving on. So overall, Monique, you have so many things that you're juggling. You yourself, your team, and supervisors, the individual case managers, the support coordinators who are working with the individuals. So
Mhm.
overall, what systems or practices have you found most effective in staying ahead of compliance requirements? Especially as regulations keep evolving, the requirements from the states keep changing.
Okay. I think that's a twofold question. In terms of being able to stay in compliance and making sure that the team is doing what they're supposed to do, what we do is we support people in their strengths and we give them support in the areas that they need additional support in. So, for example, we have, let's say, two different types of support coordinators. We have support coordinators who are people person. They love to be out in the field. Every time you talk to them, they're visiting a family, but sometimes the paperwork may not, be done properly. And then we have support coordinators who absolutely love to do paperwork, and they may not necessarily be, as personable as other support coordinators. So what we do in order to try to stay in compliance is excuse me, we, match people's strengths. We make sure that the support coordinators that may need a little bit more support in the areas of documentation and submitting paperwork, we extend that support to them, and vice versa with, families. We're making sure that we're reaching out to families, where the support coordinators may fall in that area. And I cannot emphasize the importance of field worker in that process as well. I mentioned earlier where when we went to that DDD, recent DDD training, DDD said that there are support coordination agencies and other agencies that are submitting claims and getting paid for work that they actually did not do. And what field worker does is it doesn't allow someone to go to that next step without the first step being done. So you make sure that the monthly monitoring tool is done in field worker, or else the claim will not be submitted. And that's a big part of making sure that we're in compliance, because that would cause a huge issue with Medicaid billing and fraud. That's a huge issue that has been alleviated with field worker.
Thank you. Yes, and just to add to what Monique is saying, right? To carry the DDD is of course Division of Developmental Disabilities, which is under the DHS, Human Services in the state of New Jersey. But every state across the country has similar processes in place, and so this is universally applicable. And of course, there's an increased scrutiny on fraud. There is increased emphasis on making sure that processes and organizations are in compliance. And at the end of the day, this is all good because it helps us do a better job. It helps us make sure if we, as Monique's organization does, follow the processes, follow the compliance rules, we deliver better services. So that is just so important. Before I go into the next question, I'm going to launch another poll. If people can answer that, that would be really helpful. It'll be up on your screen for 60 seconds, and we'll continue to talk in that time frame as well. And just to conclude this particular part of this discussion, Monique, what's something most people don't realize about the day-to-day work of care management, case management, or support coordination?
I feel that people think that we're just behind the desk and, we're coming in, we're sipping coffee, and we're just typing up case notes all day. And it's actually not true. We deal with human beings, and human beings by default have their own challenges. They have their own things that they need. And with dealing with support coordination, I actually mentioned this earlier, is we're sometimes the last stop on the bus. So unlike maybe with other providers, they may have like a different resource or a network that they can reach out to for assistance. We're the ones that need to come in. We're the ones that need to assess. We're the ones that need to take action. And we're the ones that need to make sure at the end of the day, everything that a person needs is carried out. So we cannot, pass the buck to anyone else. We're the problem solvers. And just having all of the different systems in place helps us to be able to, by freeing us up, to be able to, focus on problem solving and customer service and all those different things.
Yep, that is amazing. And to add to that, as the case manager, as the support coordinator, Monique's team is also overseeing all the services that are being provided to the individual under their care. So every service, coordinating with every service provider and state agencies for any kind of help, reporting on incidents, making sure that that the services that are being provided are on time, are on track. The family is happy, the individual is happy with the services that are being provided. Monique's team is taking that holistic approach over the care of the individual. So it's actually, in a way, the most important role that exists, which is leading to the to the person living their life to the fullest. So that is very, very important. Is there a story or moment from your journey that really captures why you do what you do? These anecdotes and these stories are so powerful, and they illustrate so well, the impact of the work that you are doing, Monique.
Um, if I could share one of the things that we're most proud of, and if I could, give kudos to our team, or one practice that we do is during the holidays, um, we do a gift give. We connect with different community providers, for different types of donations. And the ultimate goal is to make sure that every single person that we support has a gift during the holiday. So sometimes we don't realize that there are people that are alone. There are people that don't have family. There are people that don't have finances. There are people that don't have food. And during the holiday season, it's kind of like the Equal Opportunity Support Services elves. We're out there, everybody's hitting the pavement. We're making sure we hit every single family that we support and give them a holiday gift. And I think that's one of the things that we're most proud of is we're not just only thinking of people when they're in crisis, we're supporting them and making sure that they're happy as well.
Yeah, that is such a wonderful story, Monique. And especially, the time of holidays are a time of great joy, but they are also can be times of great stress and feelings of being down, etc. at the same time because of loneliness and various things. So that is such an important thing that you do, and it is wonderful to hear that as well. Uh, any closing words, Monique, before we go to Q&A from the audience? We are actually just right at time wise. We are just maybe a minute over, but perfect overall time wise.
No, the only closing words that I have is, for one, of course, we appreciate being a part of this webinar, but I definitely want to emphasize to those different providers that may be looking for a system or a process or some way to make their jobs easier, to help to build their teams, to really just kind of resource and look at field worker and look at what they have to offer, because that made a significant impact on our ability to provide quality service, our ability to grow, our ability to maintain our team. It leads into retention. So just making sure that people, we have the takeaways about the holidays and, but I want to make sure that people understand like that field worker has a secret sauce that will definitely benefit you.
That is that is so good to hear. That is so good to hear, Monique. Thank you. I'm going to launch a last poll as well for 30 seconds, and then we are going to go into Q&As. And we have just 5 minutes left, unfortunately, before we reach the end of the webinar. So any questions that you might have, please type them into the Q&A or in the chat window. Either way works for us. And if you put it in the chat window, please make sure that it goes to either me or everybody, so that we can see what's in the question. Uh, uh, so Monique, one question. What are your top three best practices for running a successful support coordination agency?
Um, just making sure that we're um, providing good service. Also making sure that we're in compliance, and then also making sure that the people that we support are happy and healthy. But most importantly, making sure the state that provides the funding is the happiest of all. So
Yes, yes, yes. And but how do you ensure this is another question. How do you ensure your team stays person-centered while also meeting deadlines? I'm sure there are time pressures that you work under and deadlines. So how do you make sure of balancing these two competing needs?
Okay. So we foster we continue to foster that teamwork approach. Like I know one of the questions was what type of leadership style, for example. And there's different types of leadership styles. There's a transformational leadership style where, the team, we continue to inspire each other. We cultivate a sense of purpose. We drive organizational change. We also use a coaching style, and with the coaching style, we focus on developing, each support coordinator. We mentor. So we have senior support coordinators work with the newer support coordinators to teach them kind of the ropes through guidance. And then we also give constant feedback. So there isn't really a time where a support coordinator is having potentially an issue and the issue is not immediately addressed, we're able to give constructive feedback. And once the person accepts that feedback, we're able to correct the issue and then move on. We also foster a participative style of leadership and management. We promote a collaborative mindset where there's no hierarchy, all hands are on deck. Like when I mentioned with the holiday gift give, if you're working with the organization, there's nothing too big for you or there's nothing too small. Everybody equally assists. And then also not grouping all support coordinators that um, may not have strengths in exactly the same area. Pairing support coordinators that have strengths in one area with other support coordinators, they may have strengths in a different area, seems to work the best.
That's good to know. Um, uh, there is did you face any challenges as a woman leader in this space, Monique?
Um, I I think that being a woman leader is actually an asset because for some of us, we do have that built-in empathy, and then also the ability to show compassion and patience. So, were there any specific challenges? Not necessarily. I think being a woman in this field definitely um, is an asset. And just through the different types of roles that I've played, I've always had a role in a management or a leadership type of position. So therefore, all of the skills that I've learned over the course of the years allowed me to be prepared for this role right here at Equal Opportunity.
Last question, that's all we have time for, is have you seen actually tangible results like cost savings, faster reportings, or better staff satisfaction since you implemented field worker?
Oh, 100%, hands down with no question, 100% we have. Yes, it's undeniable how effective field worker has been in our daily activities.
Okay, great. Unfortunately, we have no more time. We have reached the top of our window. If there are any further questions and anything else that people would like to discuss, please drop uh, us an email. I'm going to type my email address right here in the chat, rohit@fieldworker.ai and or info@fieldworker.ai. You can just drop us an email where, like, we can connect and we can talk. Thank you so much, Monique, for taking this time to spend with us. There were quite a few people who joined from across the country, quite a few who also registered and have expressed an interest to get a recording of this webinar, which we will make available or both on our website, and we'll send everybody a link. And thank you to the audience for joining this very informative session from Monique. You are truly an inspiring leader. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.